Hello, and welcome to part 2 of my modding Skater XL tutorial. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to write the code that will actually do the modifying of our game. To begin, let's open Visual Studio. I'm using Visual Studio 2019, but so long as you have access to the .NET platform, it doesn't really matter what version you use. So I say .NET, but in other words, we just want access to C#, which is a scripting language that Unity can read. If you just installed Visual Studios, there's a good chance you can't find this class library template. To get it installed, you just need to go to the right and go all the way to the bottom where you can find Install More Tools and Features and click on that link. This will bring up the Visual Studio installer, and the only thing you need is the .NET desktop development. Then I'm just going to give the project its name, save it to a good folder, and set it to the most recent .NET framework, cause why not? And click Create. So here we are in our project view. You can see it has created a class 1 for us. If you've ever coded inside Unity before, you may notice that it doesn't look like this, but instead looks like this. We are going to slowly build up to what we find in Unity. While we do that, I'm not going to explain how everything works, but I'm going to explain the most that you will need to know. At the top, you can see we have access to various system assemblies and their methods. However, since we're making a mod for a game that runs in Unity Engine, we also want access to the assemblies and methods that the Unity Engine has. However, we can't just write using Unity Engine and have access to all that stuff. We actually have to reference the assembly inside the project. To do that, we go to Project, Add Reference, and find the actual Unity Engine assembly that Skater XL uses. You can see that it's not underlined in red anymore, and if you look to the right side under References, you can find the Unity Engine assembly in there. Now that we know how to add references, I'm going to take some time and clean up this class 1 that was created for us. The namespace matches the name of our project, so I'll leave it. And if I appropriately name my class in the Solution Explorer, it'll ask me if I want to change it inside the code, and I'll say yes. I'm going to pause right here and say you should have Unity Mod Manager installed at this point. If you don't already, just go and install the most recent version. I would recommend you learn how to install at least 1 or 2 community mods into Skater XL using it before you jump into creating your own. So there are a few more assemblies we need to reference. I'm going to find the folder where I have Unity Mod Manager installed and find the Harmony assembly and the Unity Mod Manager assembly. And this is the part in every coding tutorial where I tell you to copy paste the code you see on your screen or something. You don't need to understand everything that's going on here, you just need to know that this is the minimum amount of code that Unity Mod Manager needs that will allow you to run your own code while the game's running. All you need to know is that this is the class that Unity Mod Manager will look for when trying to load your mod, and once it finds the class, this line right here is the load method, and it will be looking to run this load method. Among other things, this load method will tell Unity Mod Manager to load the code that you've written every frame, or only once when the game is booted up for the first time. We're going to write our own method that will only get run once, so we want the mod entry to be on toggle. And you can see we have our own on toggle method that will be run when the load is run. Woo, okay, that was a lot. This is me from the future again. While editing, I realized that we can even simplify this even further. All these lines of Harmony code aren't necessary because we won't be patching any in-game assemblies, and that's all Harmony is used for. So we can actually just delete all these lines like this. Now we're going to make a new Santa Spawner class. We're going to add a new item to our project. It's going to be a C# class type, and we're going to call it Santa Manager. We are going to make this a public class, and the colon means we're inheriting the class properties from a pre-existing class. In this case, it's Unity's MonoBehavior class. To oversimplify, the MonoBehavior class inside Unity is very important, but for the script only, we only need to inherit MonoBehavior so we can get access to the instantiate function. And now I'm going to make a method that can spawn Santa Claus. I'm going to make it public so I can read it from anywhere. I'm going to make it static because it's not going to change anything, it's just going to spawn a new Santa Claus. And I'm going to make it void because no other code will need to read this after it's done being read by the game. So since we're going to be trying to load an asset bundle, we're going to need to reference the Unity Engine.asset bundle module assembly, which can be found in the exact same location where you found your Unity Engine assembly. Also, now would be a good time to make a folder anywhere safe on your computer where you can store your asset bundle. Make sure you copy your new folder's file path, and then in Visual Studios write the same line of code that I've written, and then paste your file path as a string, which means surrounded by quotes, inside the parentheses. Also, make sure all the slashes are forward slashes and you have an @ sign at the beginning of the string. Me from the future again. Also make sure that C, or whatever letter drive that you're using, is lowercase. Remember to actually put your asset bundle file into the folder that you've set aside for it. And then once you've done that, make sure that you add the name of the file into the file path inside your code. You can keep my loaded asset bundles type as var, or you can change it to asset bundle. So this first line of code tells Unity to load the asset bundle from this location. The second line of code tells Unity to load the specific asset found inside our asset bundle, an asset that we're going to call by its name with the exact spelling that we used when we made it inside Unity. And now that it's loaded into memory, we're going to tell Unity to instantiate it directly into whatever scene we currently have running, which in Skater XL are the skate parks or levels. So these 3 lines of code are all we need to 1. Load the asset bundle, 2. Load in our prefab object, and 3. Spawn it into the scene. If we were to take just our create Santa go method and put it into the onToggle function, it would probably throw an error because it'll try and load and spawn this into the scene before a scene has even created, because it would get run right when the game's first loading. So what we need to do next is add a way for us to hit any button on our keyboard and be able to spawn in a copy of Squatting Santa on command, and that's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to pause this video here. In the next part, we're going to expand the script so it works during runtime. We're also going to add custom behavior for Santa so he can follow the player around the map, and we're also going to get it all working and wrapped up inside Unity Mod Manager.